What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to the Tailgate Nate Sports Show. I cover the NFL, MLB, NBA, MLS, and NHL. And today, we're going to be recapping the week from September 13th to September 19th. And on the agenda today, in the NHL, the Stanley Cup Finals are set and underway. Who do I think is going to take home the Stanley Cup? Week 1 is in the books for the NFL. Who won the most exciting matchups in a thrilling Week 1? And in MLB, there is 1 week left in the season. Can you believe we're already here? Who do I think is going to take these playoff spots? I'll give you all of that and more on the Tailgate Nate Sports Show. All right, as per usual, we kick it off with the NFL. Not a lot of headlines, so we'll go through them fast. The NFL has threatened, I don't know if that's the right word, but they have threatened to discipline coaches who don't wear masks. They just want to make sure everyone's going to stay safe on that sideline. As the NFL is off to a great start. No really big number of positive tests. So the NFL looks like it's going to go off without a hitch, but we'll have to just wait and see, won't we? The Colts starting running back, Marlon Mack, tears his Achilles, and he's going to be out for the season. That's a big loss for the Colts and a team that was expected to improve a lot this year. And now without Marlon Mack, they really are losing a big part of that offense. So now we're going to have to rely on guys like Nyheim Hines and other players to step up for the Colts offense. Chargers all-pro center Mike Pouncey is going to have season-ending hip surgery. Again, as I just mentioned, a all-pro center. And the Chargers already going through some struggles, lost a lot in the offseason. They're going to be struggling more without their all-star center on that offensive line. Bengals tight end C.J. Uzomah tears his Achilles. He's going to be out for the remainder of the season. A big loss there for Cincinnati, as now they have to find someone to replace him at that tight end position. The Rams wide receiver Robert Woods agreed on a 4-year, $65 million extension that's going to keep him in LA for quite some time to come. There are your headlines. Let's take a look at some scores. Yes, I have a lot of scores, but it is week 1. There are a lot of pretty exciting games. We're going to go through them here. The Packers beat the Vikings 43-34 off Aaron Rodgers' 4 touchdown passes. Played absolutely amazing in this game. That connection to Devontae Adams really does work, as he had 156 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook had 2 touchdowns on the ground, and Adam Thielen caught both of Kirk Cousins' touchdowns, but the Vikings fall short to their division rival. The Raiders win their first game as the newly named Las Vegas Raiders, as a difference in this game was Josh Jacobs. 3 touchdowns on the ground. Him and Christian McCaffrey had very similar numbers, but it was that extra touchdown from Josh Jacobs that put the Raiders over the edge to win this game 34-30. Jaguars upset the Colts as Gardner Minshew only threw 1 incomplete pass, as his 3 touchdown passes were caught by 3 different receivers. And of course, with Marlon Mack going down, Nyheim Hines, I put his stats on here. He had decent stats, had a touchdown on the ground and through the air, but I think he's definitely going to be used more in that Colts offense. Phillip Rivers played well in his Colts debut, but I definitely feel like he could play better, as the Colts are off to a shaky start to the season. Saints and Bucks played in game of the week. Drew Brees, 2 touchdown passes. Tom Brady, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. As Alvin Kamara just seemed to be all over the field, and although his stats don't show it, if you watch the game, he really was a playmaker. Chris Godwin and Ronald Jones were great for Tampa Bay as well, but the Bucks fall short, 34-23. The Cardinals beat the 49ers, and Cardinals proving that they really are a sleeper team to go on a big run, especially with this expanded playoff format. Kyler Murray was absolutely excellent through the air and on the ground, had a throwing touchdown and a rushing touchdown, and of course DeAndre Hopkins played well. Raheem Mostert played well and kept this game close for the 49ers, but the Cardinals edged out Super Bowl runner-up 24-20. The Rams and Cowboys played in last week's Sunday Night Football. Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, they both did play pretty well. But there was a call at the end of the game that was talked about after this game as being not called right. I have watched the play a lot, and I definitely don't really have an opinion either way. I definitely feel like the call could go either way. But Brown had 2 touchdowns for the Rams. Robert Woods had 100-plus yards, and Zeke Elliott played pretty well in this game. But the Rams, on a controversial call, beat the Cowboys 22-17. There was a Monday Night Football doubleheader as the Steelers beat the Giants. I didn't have that game on there, but the Steelers beat the Giants And I mean, that one was expected, but this one was a very close game. The Titans beat the Broncos 16-14 off of Steven Gostkowski's game-winning 25-yard field goal. Now, the reason I put his stats on there is he went 1 for 4 on field goals. He was 0 for 3 before that game-winning field goal kick. So if you were a Titans fan, you were shaking a little bit when you saw him go up. But he put it through the uprights. As Ryan Tannehill played pretty well, as he does seem to be the guy this year. Derrick Henry had 30-plus carries. Corey Davis, 100-plus yards. There were a lot of guys with over 100 yards in this game on both sides, but it was the Titans' game-winning field goal from Gostkowski that won them this game. Then in Week 2, Thursday Night Football, the Browns beat the Bengals 35-30. As Joe Burrow was the story in this game, he threw 61 passes and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions. Tyler Boyd seems to be his favorite target, but A.J. Green seems to be back, which is good news for Joe Burrow. Nick Chubb was great on the ground. Odell Beckham was great through the air as the Browns beat the rival Bengals. There are your scores and stacks. I don't have any predictions this week as I really want to see how every team plays and fits out, but you can pause the video now, take a look at scores and stats, but that is your NFL news. Okay, we move on to the MLS where I only have one headline. There were some injuries this past week in MLS, but I didn't feel like any of them were super significant to where they were going to affect the team too much. But the one headline I do have for MLS is Minnesota gets Kai Kamara from Colorado, and this just absolutely came out of nowhere. They get Kai Kamara for cash and I believe a super draft pick, if I'm not mistaken. But Minnesota already dealing with injuries. Getting Kai Kamara really is going to help. And I feel like Kai Kamara is underrated during his time with all the clubs he's been at. He's been a difference maker, and he's been a goal scorer. So Minnesota getting Kai Kamara really, really is going to help. But now we take a look at some scores and stats. Sporting Kansas City beat Minnesota 1-0 off Johnny Russell's 80th minute goal. Cards go to Gian Busio, Roberto Punciak, and Hassani Dotson. And Jerso gets one late in the game as well. This was a very close, competitive game, and both teams had chances, but you really do see how these injuries affect Minnesota. But again, getting Kai Kamara, that's going to help with games like playing Sporting Kansas City, with playing Seattle later down the line. Dallas and Colorado played, and Dallas seemed to have control over this entire game, but Santiago Mosquera has the hat trick in this game as he scores in the 41st minute, 57th minute, and 78th minute. Franco Jara adds on the 4th in the 49th minute. Colorado does get one in the 63rd minute, but again, Santiago Mosquera played absolutely fantastic in this game. Did get the hat trick as Thiago Santos has the only card in the game in the 44th minute. Miami continues to impress in their first year as an MLS club. Again, they got 2 guys over from Juventus, the second of which is going to play here in a little bit, but all the goals scored in the 11th minute or earlier, but Miami beats Atlanta 2-1. And I did say that I thought Atlanta was going to make a comeback. I was wrong. Atlanta's going through so much right now. Atlanta definitely is going to be rebuilding this offseason as Juan Agudelo, John Gallagher, and Breck Shea get goals for their respective clubs. You can see who got cards down there as well. Cincinnati, New York Red Bulls played to a 1-0 win for Cincinnati as Mendejen, oh my goodness, if you watch this goal was absolutely fantastic. It was a corner kick, and he scored from the corner, right in the top farthest corner from the net. It was absolutely beautiful. That is what gave Cincinnati the win. I could watch that goal all day, but it was 1-0, as you can see down there, who got cards as well. There were other games on this, but again, I just did not have space. But let's look and see how the standings are shaking out. Columbus Crew is in a 5-point lead for the Supporters Shield, and they look really good. I mean, Columbus looks really good, but Orlando, Toronto not far behind them, each with 22 points, same record as well. Only difference is Orlando City has the higher goal differential. Then when you look at the Western Conference, Seattle Sounders seem to solidify themselves up there as well with Sporting Kansas City and FC Dallas, who is on the rise. SC Dallas looks really, really good, and I already talked about a game they played against Colorado, but they look really good. Again, when you look at teams down towards the bottom of the table, San Jose, they have some pieces in place, but they definitely do need that star power after someone left their team to go play for his former club in Sweden. And then in the Eastern Conference, I mean, when you look at Chicago, Chicago's not panning out this year. But don't let that 11 points fool you for Inter Miami. They're still a very, very decent team. Definitely could make a push towards the playoffs if they all start playing well. You can pause the video now and take a look at the standings, but that is your MLS news. Move on to Major League Baseball, where, again, we have a week left. Let's take a look at some headlines. There are quite a bit. The Giants returned to play after a false positive. So in my last show, one of the very last headlines was that the Giants have a positive test, so their series with, I believe it was San Diego, was going to be postponed, but it turns out it was a false positive. So the Giants quickly got back on the field. Cubs pitcher Alec Mills throws a no-hitter. I believe it was the first of his career, and is the first Cubs pitcher to throw a no-hitter since Jake Arrieta did it in 2016. Steve Cohen finalized his purchase of the New York Mets. The New York Mets under new ownership. We'll have to see how Steve Cohen does with this Mets franchise. Pablo Sandoval, who was previously cut by the Giants, is going to join the Atlanta Braves. So the Atlanta Braves get a pretty good veteran pretty good veteran infielder, not outfielder, infielder, to join that squad that is already pretty much in the playoffs. So we'll have to see how Pablo Sandoval fits in there. The MLF playoff bubble plan is finalized, and the Rangers ballpark is going to host the World Series. So they're hosting it in separate ballparks, like separate series and separate ballparks to mitigate the spread of the virus. Giants and Mariners game postponed after air quality in Seattle. Again, just with all the fires and stuff that's happening over there in the western coast of the United States. The air quality has been poor, especially with other factors. But Giants-Mariners, that game was postponed. They did play a doubleheader the next day, though. But the Padres and Mariners series, that series was moved to San Diego, again, because of the air quality in Seattle. So it does not look like Seattle is going to be playing in Seattle for the near future, but, again, only a week left. Yankees hit 5 home runs in 1 inning, setting a franchise first and franchise record. First time they've ever hit 5 home runs in 1 inning. And it's a franchise record, 5 home runs in 1 inning. Albert Pujols moves into 5th on the home run list after he hit 2 home runs in a game for the Angels. So Pujols moving up ranks this season. Definitely one of the best to ever play the game. We'll have to see how much higher he can get. Justin Verlander came out and said, I need Tommy John surgery, and I think that's what we all expected, right? So Justin Verlander not going to be pitching for the Astros in the postseason, and that is a big loss come postseason time, Houston Astros. And then the last headline, the Tigers manager, Ron Gardenhire, it steps down after 3 seasons to focus on his health. The Tigers not looking like they're going to make a playoff spot unless absolute chaos unfolds this past week. I think they only have like a 1.3% chance to make the playoffs or something like that, but he steps down to focus on his health. Tigers going to have an interim manager for the rest of the season. Take a look at some scores and stats. Here's the game where Alec Mills threw his first career no-hitter, 12-0. The Cubs beat the Brewers. I did watch the back half of that game, and Alec Mills was not letting that go. Definitely, Alec Mills deserved that no-hitter. The Reds beat the Pirates on Stevenson's walk-off pinch hit 2-run home run. It was his only at-bat of the game, so a walk-off pinch hit home run. For Stevenson, Iglesias credited with the win, Howard credited with the loss. The Reds pushing towards making the playoff. We'll have to see if they can get there. Yankees moving to second in the AL East with a win against the Blue Jays where they absolutely smashed them. It was 20-6. And the Yankees on a winning streak right now. They beat the Red Sox past couple times as well. So the Yankees definitely solidifying themselves in a playoff spot. Dodgers beat the Padres in a race for the top 2 teams in the NL West. as the Dodgers were the first team to clinch a playoff spot in this game. Colorado gets the win, and Baez gets the save. The White Sox were the second team to clinch a playoff spot, and they clinched their first playoff spot for the first time since 2008 as they beat the Twins 4-3. Alex Colomé gets his 12th save on the year. And there are your scores and stats. I will be going through scores of big games that impact the wild card race in the National League. But when you look at the standings, the American League is pretty much set. When you look at it, the Rays, Yankees, and Blue Jays all seeming to be in the playoffs. White Sox, Twins are already in the playoffs with the Indians, again, not that far behind. And the Athletics and Astros there as well. When you look at the National League, it's a bit more of a mess, but it's cleaning up a little bit. Braves, Marlins, Phillies, Cubs, Cardinals, Reds, Dodgers, and Padres hold the playoff spots right now. And I have a feeling that that's how it's going to stay. With the way that the Reds are playing, they do have a series coming up against the Brewers, which is really going to impact this playoff race. But then the Brewers have to play 5 games against the St. Louis Cardinals for their last series of the season, and that's right after they play the Reds. And I don't like their chances to come out of that on top. So I do have the Reds making the playoffs there. The Giants, they have to face the Rockies and Padres down the line, which is going to be hard. Rockies not playing the best baseball, but they still do have some really, really good players, and they still are going to be looking to push to a playoff spot. Again, only a 1.3% chance, but they are not out of it yet. But the teams highlighted in green are the teams that I think are going to make the playoffs. There you go. It's going to be a really exciting race to the finish, especially in the National League. I'll be watching a lot of baseball this past week, as that is your MLB news. All right, moving on to the NBA, where the conference finals are going on. I only have 3 headlines. Mark D'Antoni is not going to return as the Rockets head coach. He came out and said that he is going to be a coaching free agent, which I thought was pretty humorous. But, yeah, Rockets going to need to find a new head coach. Feels like Mark D'Antoni's been there forever, hasn't it? Now not going to be by the Rockets bench. It's going to be weird if D'Antoni goes somewhere else in the NBA. Maybe he could find a job at the Pacers, or he could go back down. I have a feeling he'll find another job in the NBA, or he will retire, getting to that age. Raptors signed head coach Nick Nurse to a multi-year extension. Deals I don't even think have been finalized quite yet, but Nick Nurse going to be sticking around Toronto for years to come. And the Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo wins his 2nd straight MVP. LeBron James was not happy with the vote. I wasn't terribly happy with the vote. I did think that LeBron James deserved more first-place votes. I believe he only got like 12 or 16. It was one of those 2 numbers. But, man, out of 101, LeBron played one of the best seasons of his career this season. And while Giannis definitely is that difference maker for the Bucks, I definitely think LeBron at least had a closer chance to win it, but Giannis wins the MVP. But there are your headlines. Let's take a look at how the second round finished out, and there was only 1 game that had to finish out. Or excuse me, I should say 2. It was the Clippers and Nuggets series, as the Nuggets just seemed to like being down 3-1. They were down 3-1 against the Jazz. They won that series. They were down 3-1 against the Clippers, and you see here they won that series. So the 4 teams you see blacked out. For Milwaukee, it's just disappointing. Toronto, we are not going to have a repeat champion. And for the Clippers, a lot of people picked the Clippers to go to the finals, and now you have to think the pressure's off the Lakers, right? Right. Okay, well, here are how my predictions fared. I only got the Lakers prediction right, but that is okay, as now we take a look at scores and stats of the conference finals. The Celtics are down 2-1 against the Miami Heat. Heat won the first game in overtime after coming back, handled the Celtics in the second game, but the Celtics, a must-win Game 3, they did go to win that game. Celtics and Heat, they have both played this series really well. This definitely feels like a series that could go to 5. Could go to 7. Definitely feels like a series that could go to 7, but again, both these teams playing really good basketball. Lakers and Nuggets have only played 1 game, which the Lakers won They do play again tonight. I mean, this is going to be a pretty interesting series too. You do got to think that the Nuggets should be an easier opponent than the Clippers for the Lakers, but the Nuggets have proved that, hey, we belong here. So both these series should be pretty interesting to watch. Here are my predictions. Just to remind you, I did pick the Heat in 7, and originally I had picked the Lakers to beat the Clippers in 7 as well, but because they're facing the Nuggets, I have changed my prediction to 6. I have told a lot of people that before the series started, so do not fight me on it, but I did have the Lakers beating them in 6 when the Nuggets beat the Clippers, but that's how my predictions are faring for right now. We'll have to see how the rest of the series play out. That is your NBA news. All right, we move on to the final sport of the day, and it is going to be the NHL. Take a look at some headlines from the NHL. Flames defenseman Mark Giordano is awarded the Mark Messier Leadership Award. This is for leadership both on and off the ice, and he absolutely deserves this award. Giordano, a big leader there in the Flames organization, so the Mark Messier Leadership Award goes to him. Peter Laviolette is going to be the next head coach of the Washington Capitals. I think we all saw this coming, kind of. Peter Laviolette definitely was one of the bigger names to be in that head coaching role for the Washington Capitals. And he's going to be behind the bench, has playoff experience, has hockey experience. We'll have to see if Laviolette can continue the success of the Washington Capitals, as it looks like Braden Holtby is going to be headed towards free agency. So we'll have to see what goalie market they can pick up. And the Wild signed defenseman Jonas Brodin to a 7-year, $42 million extension. And then the GM came out and said that he is not going to be moving a defenseman. We'll talk about what they did move here in a little bit. But the Panthers assistant coach, Mike Kitchen, he's going to be out after he allegedly kicked a player on the bench. This was during a late game, I believe, back in January. I don't think cameras caught it because otherwise we'd be talking about it, right? But Mike Kitchen out after he kicked a player, and it wasn't just like a, hey, knock it off. It was a full-on swing back and kick from what I have heard. So just a bad mistake. And Mike Kitchen, going to have to find a new job or maybe not find another job at all. We'll have to see if someone hires him. But this trade for Minnesota, they trade Eric Staal to Buffalo for Marcus Johansson, and you got to think there's something else to this deal. Nope, that's it. It's a one-for-one deal. Weird to me to say that Buffalo's winning something because they won this trade. And Minnesota does need the work at the center position, but I don't think Eric Staal was the problem. They brought in Bukestad, and now with Johansson, I don't know why it says defenseman on there. He is an offensive player. And I think they envision him to play center, which is really weird. But we'll have to see how it goes there in Minnesota. Bill Armstrong is officially named the Coyotes general manager. I wish good luck to Bill Armstrong because fixing the Coyotes is not an easy thing to do. And if you're a hockey fan, you know that. You know it's just not an easy thing to do. So we'll have to see how they can do, if they can keep Taylor Hall, if Taylor Hall is going to go somewhere else, and what they can do with any other position, because the Coyotes definitely need some fixing in some places. We'll have to see how it goes. Defenseman Joel Edmondson signs a 4-year, $14 million deal. It doesn't say it on there, but signs it with the Montreal Canadiens after his rights were traded from Carolina over to the Canadiens. So he's going to stay in Montreal for 4 more years. Minnesota came out and said that they're not going to resign Mikko Koivu. Has been with that team for a long time after 15 seasons, and either he can go somewhere else or he can retire. It's going to be weird to see Mikko Koivu in another jersey, isn't it? He's been with the Wild for, it feels like forever, right? It's going to be weird if Koivu goes somewhere else, but retiring is an option for Mikko Koivu, so we'll have to see what he does. But there are your headlines. Let's take a look at how the conference finals played out. The Lightning beat the Islanders in 6 after winning the game in overtime. Winning game 6 in overtime. And how about the Dallas Stars, huh? The Golden Knights lose to the Dallas Stars in 5 games after the Stars win 2-3 in overtime. The Stars were not letting that series go, and the Stars get back to their first Stanley Cup final since 2000. So the Stars hoping to win their first Stanley Cup since 1999. Lightning hoping to win their first Stanley Cup since 2004. We'll take a look at how my predictions fared. I did predict the Tampa Bay Lightning right, but I did not predict the Vegas Golden Knights right. I have been underestimating Dallas forever. I said they were going to lose in the first round to Calgary. And I said, well, they're definitely going to lose in the first round to Colorado. I said, well, they're definitely going to lose in the first round to Vegas. Have I figured it out yet? Don't know. We'll see. But here is the Stanley Cup final. This is going to be a fun series, and this series definitely is going to go to 7 games, in my opinion. Just 2 very, very good teams. They both proven themselves. Tampa Bay is on a mission after what happened last year. They just are not going to seem to let this Stanley Cup go. Meanwhile, you look at the Dallas Stars. They're playing some of the best hockey that they've played all season. It is going to be a fun series, but it doesn't seem like I've learned my lesson. I'm picking the Tampa Bay Lightning to win the Stanley Cup in 7 games. Just as a Columbus fan, I see that they are on a mission. They are on an absolute mission to win the Stanley Cup after what happened last year. And even battling through all the injuries that they're battling through, they're still playing really, really good hockey. Now, I know Dallas is playing tremendous hockey right now, and Dallas is going to win games in this series. But I just can't see the Lightning letting this one go. I can't. I can't see the Lightning letting this one go. This is going to be a hard-earned Stanley Cup, and I predict the Lightning to win in 7 games. Now, with that being said, the games have already kicked off. What happened in the first game? Dallas won 4-1. So have I learned my lesson? I don't know. But Dallas did win the first game in the Stanley Cup final. Second game is going to be on Monday. And they're going to finish this one before September ends, it looks like. So then we'll just have to see what happens in the offseason. But Stanley Cup finals underway, and it is going to be a fun series to watch. Dallas already up 1-0. Again, second game is on Monday. That is your NHL news. All right, that is going to do it for the Tailgate Nate Sports Show. Again, we covered the week from September 13th to September 19th. Please be sure to leave a like. Also consider subscribing if you're brand new to the channel or you enjoy my content. Turn on the notification bell so you do not miss an upload. Again, I upload every Sunday at around 7:15 Central Standard Time. That's 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. And again, ring that bell so you can join Tailgate Nation. If you haven't done so already, please leave a comment down below. Tell me your thoughts on this week in sports. And go check out my other channel where I talk about college football. I do weekly videos on there where I preview the upcoming week and review the following week. I might end up posting some reaction videos on there soon. Don't know how that's going to work out quite yet, though. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. And I'll see y'all next week. Goodbye.